I thought marriage meant trust until I discovered my own wife was spying on me with a private investigator. I never imagined my life would turn into a real-life thriller. One moment, I was sipping my morning coffee, scrolling through emails. The next, my phone buzzed with a text that set off a chain of paranoia I couldn't escape. The sender was a number I didn't recognize. "Are you still at the office past 8 p.m. every night?" J. My pulse spiked. I tapped back. "Who is this?" No reply. Just a follow-up minutes later. "You know exactly who I am. We both know secrets." I stared at the screen, drenched in confusion. My wife, Laura, was in the living room, humming at the piano. Children's laughter drifted up from the playroom, where our 5-year-old twins, Emma and Owen, chased each other with foam swords. Everything looked normal. But that text suggested someone was watching me, and they believed I knew them. My mind flicked through possibilities. An old colleague? A friend teasing me? A wrong number? But the mention of secrets hit too close to home. My career was smooth. I was an IT consultant at a small but reputable firm, rarely traveling, mostly working from our home office. Laura and I had been married 3 years, trusting each other implicitly. There was nothing in my life that merited clandestine messages, or so I thought. I forced myself to calm down. I pocketed my phone, took a sip of coffee, and forced a smile as I passed Laura. "Me? Morning, love. Big plans today?" Laura, without looking up. "Just the usual. Kids to preschool, then errands." "You?" "Me. Another late night at the office. Got a critical project deadline." She nodded, graceful as ever, then returned to her music. I breathed out, chalking it up to a prank. But beneath the surface, my mind roiled. That afternoon, I left our home office for groceries. My phone buzzed again. "Do you remember the night of October 12th at the Hilton? Or have you conveniently forgotten?" My hands shook. The Hilton? The only time I'd been there was on a business trip 6 months ago, to speak at a tech seminar. Laura had stayed home with the kids. What could have happened that night? I'd forgotten. I replayed the day in my mind. Clear memory of the seminar, happy hour with coworkers, cab ride back to the hotel, insomnia, and the next morning's flight. No memory gaps. But someone was pressing me on it. I decided to ignore it, but the texts kept coming over the next 2 days. "Last Friday's dinner with Tom and Michelle, care to explain? Your Uber drop-off location was 14th and Pine at 2:45 a.m. That's not the way home. You can't delete your browser history forever. I saw everything." The details unsettled me. I did join Tom and Michelle, longtime friends, for dinner last Friday, but we left by 10 p.m. I never called an Uber that night. I drove home. My browsing history? I cleared cookies occasionally, but I'd never hidden anything. Who was sending these and how did they know? Buppin. I tried confronting Laura casually over dinner. "Me. Strange thing. Got texts about my Uber and hotel stay." She glanced up. Dining fork paused. "That is odd." "Me. Maybe someone hacked my phone or is playing games." She forced a laugh. "Probably just spam. Delete and block them." I wanted to believe her, but when messages included references to our family, "Kids miss you when you stay late," I realized this was more than spam. Someone was monitoring my every move and personally knew my life details. My skin crawled. At night, after Emma and Owen were asleep, I sat at my desk trying to trace the texts. I dug into phone settings and discovered an iMessage shadow thread I hadn't noticed before. An app silently forwarding every incoming text to a hidden account. Someone had installed spy software on my phone. Cold dread washed over me. I looked at Laura's sewing kit and thought back to last month when she'd helped me configure my new work phone. I joked about her being my IT assistant. She'd smiled and entered my passcode for me, saying she was proud of my work. Could that have been the moment she set me up? My mind refused to accept it, except the evidence pointed that way. I paced our hallway, phone in hand, heart pounding like a drum. I needed proof, but confronting Laura without evidence risked our entire marriage. I needed help. The next morning, I Googled "Private Investigator No Notice" and saw several ads promising discreet surveillance. My finger hovered over the contact form, but I hesitated. Hiring a PI on my own wife? It felt inverted, a betrayal of the marital bond. Yet I had to know the truth. I chose a local firm, Henderson & Company Investigations, because their website highlighted confidentiality and quick results. I filled out the online form. Subject: Urgent surveillance request. Details: Suspect: my wife, Laura Jensen Carter, age 32. Concern: unauthorized installation of spyware on my phone. Possible monitoring of my movements, texts, and browsing. Please confirm if she has hired an investigator on me or is surveilling my activities. Within an hour, I received a reply. Thank you for reaching out. Please call our office to discuss details and sign an NDA. We treat all inquiries with utmost discretion. I shook as I dialed. A calm voice on the other end introduced herself as Marissa Henderson, lead investigator. She asked for details, timeline, and whether I wanted physical surveillance, phone forensics, or both. I opted for both, evidence gathering and on-the-ground shadowing. She warned me there would be a retainer fee, but promised results in 48 hours. I sat in our kitchen, staring at the empty coffee mug, waiting for Laura to return. Every creak of the floor felt ominous. When she walked in, humming, I forced a neutral greeting. She kissed my cheek, unaware the clock was ticking on her secret. First signs. The investigator's report arrived 2 days later. I opened the encrypted PDF with trembling hands. Findings: phone forensics. Spyware identified on device, installed on November 3rd, coincides with Laura's help in setting up device. Logs indicate the software forwards SMS, call logs, and location data to an external server, IP trace. Surveillance. Investigator observed a separate individual, female, mid-40s, professional attire, exiting our home at 8:15 a.m. and entering a black sedan. The individual later conducted surveillance on you at your office and tracked evening exit to gym, then back to home at 10 p.m. Agent link. The PI linked the surveillance agent to Global Insights Agency, a private detective firm operating under multiple aliases. My chest tightened. The report concluded, high probability Laura commissioned private surveillance on her spouse. Recommend direct confrontation. My hands shook so badly I dropped my phone. I realized that the marriage I'd trusted was built on half-truths. Laura's reasons were unclear. Did she suspect infidelity? Was she preparing for divorce? Or was this a symptom of deeper insecurity or obsession? I needed to confront her, but only after securing undeniable proof. I printed the report and placed it in a folder. My heart pounded as I heard the front door. Laura hummed a tune as she entered, coat in hand. Me, calmly. Can we talk in the study? Her brow furrowed. Everything okay? I led her to the closed door. She sat, face pale with worry. I placed the folder on her lap. Me. I received this today. Her eyes widened as she opened it. I watched her heartbeat in staccato, face shifting from shock to guilt. Laura. Voice trembling. Alex, I can explain. I inhaled, steeling myself. This was the moment of reckoning, between love and betrayal, trust and truth. Update 1. Laura's eyes welled with tears as she closed the folder and looked up at me. In the dim light of the study, her shoulders trembled. Laura, softly. Alex, I never wanted to hurt you. I was scared. I folded my arms. Scared of what, Laura? That I'd cheat? That I'd leave? You installed spyware on my phone. You hired a private investigator to follow me. She swallowed, glancing away. I know it sounds terrible, but I've been struggling. I've felt so insecure since you started working those late-night projects. You were distant. I worried you were hiding something from me. And I couldn't sleep. Not knowing if you were safe or faithful, I kept asking questions. You'd dismiss them, and I felt more desperate. I pressed on. Desperate enough to betray our vows? You tracked my location dozens of times, logged every text, and paid someone to surveil me. That's not love. That's obsession. Her gaze wavered. I crossed a line. I see that now. But I thought if I had proof, I could relax. Stop worrying every minute. It started small. I downloaded a family safety app. Then I convinced myself I had to dig deeper. The PI. I thought he was just confirming my fears so we could talk, work on us. But I buried the receipts and never told you. Talk, I echoed. You plan to confront me with evidence? To manipulate me? She shook her head, tears spilling. I was lost. I thought I was doing the right thing for our family. We sat in silence for a long moment, the only sound my ragged breathing. I felt fury, betrayal, heartbreak, and, even beneath it all, concern for the woman I loved. I let out a slow exhale. Me. What now? Do you expect me to pretend this never happened? Laura wiped her cheeks. I want to fix us. I've already canceled the PI contract. I deleted the spyware. I've got an appointment with a marriage counselor next week. Please, don't leave me. I studied her face. Pale, raw, pleading. The apartment walls, once a sanctuary, felt like a cage. Our children's laughter filtered in from the next room, innocent of this crisis. I wondered, could our love survive this betrayal? Me, quietly. I need some time to think. Some space. She nodded, eyes downcast. Take whatever you need. I'll respect your boundaries. I left the study and retreated to our bedroom, closing the door behind me. My mind raced with questions. Could I ever trust her again? And if we stayed together, what would our marriage look like? I lay on my back, staring at the ceiling, as the weight of her confession settled in. Seeking counsel, the next morning I reached out to the investigator, Marissa Henderson, but asked only for clarifications on the report. I confirmed dates, IP addresses, and surveillance logs, documenting every detail. I saved copies in an encrypted folder. I felt like preparing evidence, just in case. I also called my best friend, Mark, and replayed the events over brunch at our regular cafe. He listened, stunned. Mark, man, that's heavy. You have every right to be angry. But if Laura's willing to fix things, maybe counseling could help. I nodded, stirring my coffee. I want to believe her. I just don't know if I can. He placed a hand on mine. Give it time. But set clear boundaries, no more secrets, no more excuses. The following day, I returned to the office, the PI's photos and logs buried in a folder on my phone. I wore a suit, tie, a mask of normalcy. But when my phone buzzed, my heart lurched. It was an incoming call from Laura. I declined. Hofschalandi. Moments later, my manager popped by. Manager. Alex. There's someone here to see you. Curious, I followed her to the lobby. To my shock, I found Marissa Henderson, the private investigator, waiting calmly. Marissa, Mr. Carter, I believe you should see this. She handed me an envelope, sealed with Henderson & Company, Investigations. Inside were surveillance photos, me leaving the office late, grabbing coffee across town, a shot of me with a mystery woman whose face was obscured. My stomach dropped. How had they got those? I asked Laura, but she said the PI was focusing solely on me. Me quietly. Why show me this? She looked me in the eye. To demonstrate the thoroughness of our work, and to alert you to the potential for other misinterpretations. You've been scrutinized, but there's more context here. I flipped through the photos. In the blurred coffee shop snapshot, the mystery woman was my old college friend Michelle, who texted me that morning. I realized Laura's neglect had turned even innocent encounters into evidence. Me. Thank you, Marissa. You can leave these with me. As she walked away, I realized my personal life had been reduced to data points. Every misstep risked feeding Laura's doubts. B. Back at home, I found Laura waiting. She looked nervous, hands clasped in front of her. I placed the envelope on the dining table. Me. Your PI gave me more evidence. Impossible coincidences my phone logs couldn't explain. She stiffened. I'm sorry. I didn't think about the fallout of that. Me. I know you're scared, but fear can't justify this. I'm willing to try counseling, but we need a new covenant. Total transparency. No hidden apps. No secret investigators. No playing detective. She nodded vigorously. I agree. Whatever it takes. I drew a deep breath. And I need you to answer honestly any question I have, no matter how uncomfortable. If I'm late, you trust my word. If I talk to a friend, you ask, but then let it go. Her eyes glistened. I promise. I reached across and took her hand. It was tentative, but her grip was firm. For the first time since the folder hit her lap, I felt a spark of connection. Maybe, just maybe, our marriage could survive this storm. Update 2. The following Monday, Laura and I arrived early at Harmony Marriage Counseling, a cozy office with soft lighting, potted plants, and a shelf lined with relationship books. We sat on a low couch facing Dr. Priya Shah, a warm, empathetic therapist in her mid-40s. Her gentle smile and calm presence offered a sliver of hope. Dr. Shah, welcome Alex and Laura. I understand you're here because trust has been broken. Today we'll begin by sharing our perspectives without interruption. Alex, would you like to start? I cleared my throat. Laura installed spyware on my phone and hired a private investigator to follow me. She did it because she was scared I was being unfaithful, but she betrayed my trust and violated our privacy. Dr. Shah nodded and turned to Laura. Laura, what led you to that decision? Tears welled in Laura's eyes again. I was overwhelmed by anxiety. After you started working late regularly, I felt you were slipping away. I asked you about it, but you dismissed my concerns. I felt helpless and desperate. Dr. Shah. Laura, it sounds like fear drove your choices, but those choices caused deep harm. Alex, how do you feel hearing Laura's perspective? I hesitated, then admitted, I understand her fear, but the betrayal cut deep. I feel violated, angry, and unsure if I can trust her again. Dr. Shah leaned forward. Trust is like broken glass, repairable but different. Today we'll identify steps to rebuild it. Let's start with communication. Laura, how will you handle fear in the future? Setting new ground rules. Under Dr. Shah's guidance, we agreed on several concrete marriage guardrails. Open communication window. Every evening we'll spend 30 minutes sharing our day. No distractions, no phones. Transparency contract. Each will voluntarily share schedules and check-ins, but no hidden monitoring or apps. Check-in signal. If one feels insecure, they send a pre-agreed code word, blue skies, instead of snooping. Accountability tasks. Laura will attend weekly anxiety management sessions. Alex will be mindful of sharing work demands honestly. Weekly progress review. Every Friday, we'll meet with Dr. Shah to assess progress and adjust guardrails. Laura squeezed my hand as Dr. Shah listed these. Thank you, she whispered. I'll do it. Me, softly. I want to try. I just need to see action. Dr. Shah smiled. Actions build trust. Let's practice now. Laura, demonstrate how you'd use the blue skies signal. Laura pulled a small note card from her bag with blue skies written in neat script. Alex, she said, showing me the card, I feel anxious about our relationship right now. Can we talk after dinner? I nodded, relief washing over me. I hear you. After the session, we drove home in reflective silence. Laura stared out the window, brow furrowed. I've been battling panic attacks for months, she confessed, voice low. Ever since my mom passed, I felt unanchored. You were always my rock, and when work got busier, I lost my grounding. I reached over and touched her arm. Why didn't you tell me sooner? She shook her head. I didn't want to burden you. I thought I could manage on my own. But the anxiety spiraled, and I went to extremes. I realized her betrayal was a symptom of deeper pain. My anger softened with understanding. We'll face it together, I said. I'll support your therapy. Later that night, Laura texted blue skies. I called her into the living room. We sat on the couch, no kids, no distractions. Laura, I felt panicked when you came home late. I'm sorry I didn't ask calmly. Me? Thank you for telling me. I'll let you know my schedule better. We hugged, and for the first time, her vulnerability felt genuine rather than manipulative. Outside pressures. Over the next week, we diligently followed our guardrails. Yet life tested our resolve. At work, I faced a critical system outage on Wednesday night. I called Laura to warn her I'd be late. She responded with gratitude, not suspicion. I grabbed a coffee and texted ETA, promising to explain in detail later. That evening's check-in was awkward but honest. Meanwhile, Laura began anxiety management sessions with Dr. Shah's colleague, focusing on breathing techniques and cognitive therapy. She showed me her workbook, pages filled with exercises, trigger logs, and affirmations like, "I trust my partner." I praised her effort, feeling our bond slowly stitch back together. But then came Friday's progress review with Dr. Shah. We arrived hopeful, but challenges surfaced. Laura admitted she slipped twice, opening my emails without telling me and browsing my work messages furtively. She felt guilty and ashamed. Dr. Shah. Laura, acknowledge the slip, then recommit. Alex, how does this affect your trust? Me. I'm disappointed, but I see she's trying. I want to keep going, but I need more transparency. Dr. Shah adjusted our guardrails. Laura would share her phone's home screen weekly, and Alex would grant temporary supervised access to his work phone logs, strictly for transparency, not ongoing monitoring. We left counseling exhausted but determined. Healing, it seemed, was a marathon, not a sprint. That weekend, on Saturday morning, I woke to the smell of pancakes. The kids ran around the kitchen as Laura flipped batter, humming softly. It was the Laura I remembered, warm, loving, present. She handed me a plate stacked high. Laura. I thought we could use a normal morning. I smiled, astonished by her thoughtfulness. Over breakfast, she surprised me with a small gift, an engraved keychain reading blue skies. Laura. A reminder that we talk, not spy. I felt tears in my eyes. Thank you. In that moment, the distance between us felt smaller. The guardrails weren't just rules. They were promises of respect and love. We hugged, and our twins cheered, "Yay!" As I carried Emma to brush her teeth, I realized that while our marriage had splintered, the pieces were beginning to reassemble, stronger edges, but more genuine connections. Update 3. 6 weeks into therapy and our new guardrails, Alex and Laura felt hopeful, but life had a way of testing even the best intentions. Late one Thursday afternoon, Alex's phone buzzed with a calendar reminder. 6 p.m., call with Claire Johnson, marketing lead. Claire was a new collaborator planning a joint webinar. When Alex wrapped up at 8 p.m., he dialed Claire from his home office as agreed. The call ran long, and he didn't notice how late it had become until his phone buzzed again. Blue skies. He smiled, grateful for the gentle signal that Laura wanted to talk. He closed his laptop, joined her in the living room, and leaned against the couch. Laura, softly. I'm glad you called her. I was worried it was more evidence of you hiding something. Me. I appreciate that you signaled instead of snooping. It was an innocent work call. She exhaled. Thank you for understanding. She paused, then added, I trust you. They embraced. Proof that the code word could channel anxiety into communication instead of suspicion. That weekend, Alex went to meet Mark for their regular Saturday coffee. Halfway through the cafe, Mark slid Alex an envelope. Mark, a friend of mine saw this in your lobby Dropbox. Alex frowned and opened it. Inside was a crisp index card with a single line. Did you know Laura once hired this PI before? November 2023. No signature. Just that hint of undisclosed history. Alex's heart sank. He believed they were starting fresh, but perhaps Laura had other secrets, old patterns she hadn't shared. That evening, Alex handed the card to Laura. Me, what's this about? Her face paled. She recognized the PI company's logo in the corner. I did hire them last year, she admitted. Before we were married. Alex's pulse quickened. Why didn't you tell me you'd brought them into your life before? Is this part of your anxiety? Laura looked down, tears brimming. I'm sorry. It was during a dark time. I thought I'd lost my job and suspected a coworker was leaking confidential data. I was desperate to protect myself, not spy on you. But when I called them, I never got their full report. I paid a small fee, realized I didn't want to go down that path, and cut it off. I didn't think it mattered once we started our life together. He studied her, torn between relief and hurt. You didn't think it mattered? Anything you did with the PI matters to me, because it shows how far you'd go when fear took over. She nodded, voice trembling. I should have told you. I thought admitting that mistake when we were already fighting my anxiety would only make you distrust me more. Alex took a deep breath. I understand why it happened, but I need transparency, even about old mistakes. Laura reached out. I promise, no more omissions, past or present. Digging deeper. Despite her apology, Alex felt uneasy. If Laura once brought the PI into her life, could she slip again? He decided to review the investigator's logs for that brief engagement last year. He pulled the file from his locked cabinet, Marissa's invoice, and a one-page summary. Henderson & Company. Invoice, November 15, 23. Service, preliminary phone number lookup on suspected data leak source. No further action requested. No surveillance, no spyware. It validated Laura's account. She had paid for a cursory check, then canceled. That night, they stayed up late, poring over the documents together. Laura described how panicked she'd felt when rumors of a data breach swirled at her company. Alex listened, realizing her motives weren't marital suspicion, but professional fear. This secret, he concluded, was less about their marriage and more about her unresolved work trauma. Me. Thank you for walking me through it. I'm sorry I doubted your reasons. She laid her head on his shoulder. And I'm sorry I didn't trust that you could handle my truth. The shared vulnerability tightened their bond. They recognized how old fears could infect new contexts, and how critical it was to surface every worry before it spiraled into secrecy. In their next counseling session, Alex and Laura raised this old PI engagement with Dr. Shaw. They agreed on an additional guardrail: full past disclosure. Each partner will share any prior actions involving investigations, legal matters, or trust breaches, no matter how unrelated they seem. Dr. Shaw praised the amendment. Honesty about the past is as vital as honesty about the present. Holding nothing back gives you both a clear slate. Afterward, Laura disclosed another hidden chapter. She'd signed a non-disclosure with her former employer, forbidding her from talking about the data breach scare. Legal obligations had made her reluctant to discuss it openly, even with Alex. Now, freed by Dr. Shaw's safe space, she felt able to share. They left counseling exhausted but relieved. Those hidden histories had loosened their grip on trust. The true test came days later at a fundraising gala for the twins' preschool. Alex and Laura co-chaired the event. Under bright lights and among familiar faces, they navigated speeches, auction items, and children's laughter. Alex found himself introducing Laura, his partner, in both life and this delicate recovery, and she responded with warmth and confidence. It was a rare public moment they rehearsed like seasoned hosts. Midway through the evening, Alex spotted Marissa Henderson at the bar, discreetly observing the crowd. A pang of unease struck him. Had Laura hired her again? He glanced at Laura, who was laughing with fellow parents. He debated, should he confront her here, at this event, or trust the new covenant? Choosing faith over suspicion, he walked away. 20 minutes later, Marissa approached him. Marissa quietly. I'm not working for Mrs. Carter tonight, she smiled. Just here for the charity like you. Relief washed over him. He realized that by trusting Laura's word and her past transparency, they could enjoy this event without suspicion. His heart lightened as he watched Laura on stage, dedicating the evening to the power of community and honest partnerships, signs of healing. After the gala, as they drove home under starry skies, Laura reached over and held Alex's hand. Laura, thank you for trusting me tonight. Alex, and thank you for telling me everything, past, present, and future. Their connection felt renewed. They no longer feared the shadows of hidden histories because they'd brought them into the light together. Back at home, they tucked the twins into bed. Alex kissed each child goodnight and hugged Laura before bed. Laura, whispering, no more secrets. Alex, I promise. They fell asleep side by side, guardians of a marriage built not on illusion, but on the shared knowledge that honesty, past and present, is the strongest foundation. Update 4. 3 months had passed since our initial revelation, and our marriage felt stronger than it had in years, built on newfound honesty and mutual respect. We'd maintained our guardrails, honored the blue skies signal, and disclosed past secrets. Counseling sessions with Dr. Shah had become a safe space for airing fears and celebrating progress. Yet an unforeseen challenge loomed. Laura's company, where she worked as a product manager, faced sudden layoffs in the tech downturn. Her position was at risk, and the stress threatened to topple our carefully rebuilt trust. One Friday afternoon, Laura received a terse email. "Due to budget cuts, your position is subject to elimination. Please attend the meeting Monday at 9 a.m. Her face drained of color. She closed her laptop and exhaled a shaky breath. That evening, over dinner, she shared the news. "Laura," voice quavering. "Alex, I'm scared. I don't want to lose this job, and everything we've worked for." I reached across the table, covering her hand with mine. "We'll face this together. You're more than your job." But I knew stress could reignite old fears. If Laura panicked, she might slip back into secret keeping. The stakes felt enormous. Her anxiety, once channeled into spyware and surveillance, could resurface in a new, destructive form, facing anxiety head-on. That weekend, we attended a special counseling session focused on crisis management. Dr. Shah guided us through coping strategies. Crisis communication protocol. If either partner receives life-altering news, we'd call a safe word, open door, and commit to a no-judgment conversation within 24 hours. Mutual support plan. Alex would help Laura update her resume and practice interview scenarios. Laura would share progress daily. Emergency check-ins. Short, honest status updates twice a day until the crisis passed. Laura swallowed hard. "I promise I'll signal if I feel panic rising." I squeezed her hand. "And I'll listen. No judgment." Monday morning arrived with gray skies. Laura donned her best suit and clutched her laptop bag like a lifeline. I walked her to the company lobby, heart pounding. She texted, "Open door," as soon as I left. At home, I made coffee and waited for her update. At 9 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Laura, meeting started. I'll text after." 2 hours crawled by. My anxiety surged. Old paranoia flared. What if she panicked and rehired the PI for job protection? Or worst, kept it secret to hide shame? I fought the urge to call her repeatedly and violate our new rules. Finally, at 11 a.m., "Laura, I'm safe. For now. They're merging my team. Position remains, but duties change." Relief flooded me. I texted back, "Thank you for the update. Proud of you." That evening, we celebrated with a quiet meal at home. Laura poured us each a glass of wine. "Mine." "Me? I'm so glad they kept you on." She smiled, tears of relief glistening. "I couldn't have done it without your support." As we toasted, Laura's phone buzzed with a LinkedIn notification. An executive recruiter requesting a chat. Her face lit up. "Laura, this could be a great opportunity. Should I respond?" I hesitated. Responding meant new job prospects, but also new uncertainties. Yet I trusted our pact. Honesty first. "Me. Yes, you should. But let me help craft your response." She nodded. Together we composed a professional reply. The act felt symbolic. Tackling career moves side by side, not in secret. The final trial. 2 weeks later, Laura progressed to the recruiter's final interview. Late-night prep sessions, resume tweaks, practice calls, our emergency check-ins were in full force. We'd kept every promise. No hidden anxieties, no clandestine research into competitors, no spyware needed to track her prospects. Yet on the eve of the last interview, Laura's anxiety peaked. She awoke at 3 a.m., pacing the bedroom. "Laura, I can't sleep. What if I mess up and lose everything?" I sat beside her. "Use our signal." She nodded, took my hand, and said, "Blue skies." We stayed awake, talking through worst-case scenarios, reframing worries into plans. If this job didn't work out, we'd pivot together. By dawn, she felt calmer. The next morning, she aced the interview and received an offer within hours, higher pay, and a remote work option. When she told me, we jumped into each other's arms in the kitchen. "Laura, we did it, together. Me, our pact held." This story isn't just about spying and surveillance. It's a testament to the power of intentional honesty and empathy to transform a fractured relationship into a partnership fortified by trust. When fear tempts us towards secrecy, choosing transparency, though difficult, paves the way to deeper connection and shared resilience.